I think that they have been trying to recover from what, in my opinion, was the best non-NHL hockey in the Canada Cup. To me, memories of that, like I still have buddies who have games of that taped on VHS. And that, to me, was the best tournament. I mean, forget the World Championships, but the NHL has been trying to take control of this so their players, they can have control of them throughout the entire season. And this Four Nations Cup, it's another attempt at trying to recreate that. Will it work? I don't know. I mean, maybe. It ends up just, to me, every time they've tried to do this, it just ends up looking like a glorified all-star game. And even worse because it's, I mean, you can tell these guys are going half speed. You can tell these guys aren't going in, harder into the corners. It's just a showcase for these guys to put on their team, their country's colors and go out and play. But there's really nothing at stake. It's not a world championship. It's not the Olympics. It's not an international event. It's an NHL sanctioned tournament where they say don't get injured because you still got to play for your club team. I think they're trying to throw it against the wall to see if it sticks. I know we haven't seen this one yet, but the last time they did it was meh. I don't know.
I wish they would bring back the Olympics, though. And I feel like, I don't know if this is just the woke marketing that the NHL loves to do, but I mean, we're a pro-common sense podcast here, so you got to say, you got to have the Russians. They have, without a doubt, the best goaltending in the world. You have some of the greatest players. Like, I wish they would bring back Russia. Forget about the geopolitics aside. If you want best and best, you got to have the Russians playing. I don't know why they don't want to bring them in. It's good for business, too.
Well, it's not good for business because of what's going on geopolitically, as you mentioned. And so that's going to turn a lot of people away. And
but
I
but
think,
would you not think, though, from a business perspective, let's say you hate the Russians because of the geopolitics stuff going on, which, whatever, it is what it is. That's good for business, too. If I'm cheering for Team Canada, which, by the way, I'll be in Montreal at that point in time because we got 2 weeks off at that point in time, I will be cheering for Team Canada over Team Russia so hard. So that's good for business. Everybody wants to see them lose. Or maybe you're cheering for them. You want to see them win. Everybody loves an underdog. So I see no downside to them coming outside of trying to win some brownie points with the woke mob.
well,
I really don't see anything else.
I think the measures that they've taken in international play right now, even tennis players when they're playing in these tournaments, male and female, anyone that's playing out of Russia doesn't have their flag next to their name. And so it's like, ooh, you took their flag away.
I don't necessarily have a problem with that, but they're not making the decisions. Like the tennis player who's 20 years
and
old.
I get that,
right?
But I get the players aren't getting to decide that. But I mean, they're kind of getting their cake and getting to eat it too because they still get the best players that they possibly can out of Russia playing in their tournaments. But they're like, well, let's not mention that they're from Russia, though. You know what I mean? So it's almost as if it's like, all right, the Russians will play, but you're not allowed to. It's not Team Russia. It's Team Eastern outside of Europe. Asia, Central Asia, Team Central Asia. Like it just, to me, it's kind of a cop-out. And especially, I mean, a situation where you've got Ovi, who's playing really well. Can we mention how well Ovi's playing? What did he nail?
Lighting it up.
2 goals earlier this week. I mean, he's not moving as quick as he normally does, but he knows those spots to get into to put the puck in the net. That's fantastic. But here he is playing in the nation's capital, in the capital of the United States of America. And have they forgotten that he's Russian all of a sudden? Have people forgotten that he said those things about his country when all that shook down and his ties to Putin and all that kind of stuff? No, as long as he puts the puck in the net for the Washington Capitals, that's all they care about. And that's what all they should care about when it comes to putting this Four Nations Cup, which should be a Five Nations Cup together. But they're like, well, maybe we can do a draft of these players. Maybe Ovechkin can go play for Team Finland since they're neighbors. I guarantee you that conversation. I guarantee you that conversation happened somewhere in a boardroom inside of the bowels of the NHL arenas going, well, maybe if we just shuffled them, like maybe Shesterkin could go play for Canada. I guarantee you they tried to figure out a way to shoehorn these guys in.
Hey, Sturkey, you like maple syrup? Huh? I also don't think it's fair, though.
Just remember it's a showcase. Just remember it's a showcase. It has nothing to do with countries. They're just grouping players. Like, where are you born? Great, throw this jersey on. It's nothing more than an NHL showcase. That's all it is.
I mean, they could do like a Team Asia or like a Team Europe, I guess. You could just bundle them in there with that. You get seriously concentrated talent, but from my perspective, I don't think it's fair because it's like I'm Canadian, you're Canadian, we're patriotically Canadian. Yeah, our prime minister's a dink, but it doesn't mean that I'm a dink because he's a dink. I wish he was gone too. We all wish he was gone. But it doesn't mean that you should take me away from international competition because he's a dink.
Again, it's not international competition. You can't look at it that way. It is not international competition. It is a league sanctioned tournament with guys that play in the league that happen to be born in those countries. That's the only thing that's international about it.
Well, how about something that we can all agree upon? I think the All-Star game needs to bring back the one-timers from the slot and the goalies.
I think they should. You know what? And I've mentioned this before. I know I have, but I think Major League Baseball has the best incentive. And I know it's a non-contact sport for the most part, but they have the best incentive for an All-Star game. Whichever league wins the All-Star game gets home field advantage for the World Series. That alone would be fantastic. I think that'd be great. Eastern Conference wins, Western Conference wins, whatever it may be, that team, I don't care what your standings are at the end of the season, that team gets home ice advantage for the beginning of the Stanley Cup Finals. That would be minty. That you would put not a lot, but a little more edge into that game.
Let me ask you this, though. For the Four Nations Cup for Team Canada, because this seems to be the biggest issue, who do you start in goal? Because I think you'd have Montembeault, Skinner, Hill, Bennington. Those would be your four primary front runners. Who would you
Skinner?
start?
Well, how did he get in there?
Hey, if you enjoyed this video, hit the subscribe button. We do a new podcast every single Sunday during the season called Sling the Biscuit. It is a non-mainstream hockey podcast, so we talk about my hockey career, the minor pros, Spain, the Fed, you name it, all the stuff that you won't hear in the mainstream news.
Music,
Pop culture.
politics, a little bit.
Thanks for watching this video, and we'll see you soon.